Hey everyone, it's Savannah, your wellness coordinator with Health Team Advantage. Today we're going to be making a super easy lunch, chicken burritos. Now these are going to be diabetic friendly because we have some brown rice, which has a lot of fiber, and then we also have some carb cutting tortillas, and these are fantastic because they're going to have a whole bunch of fiber in here as well. So you only have about 4 net carbs, which just means essentially that the fiber is going to helpfully mitigate any blood sugar spikes that you're going to get from the carbohydrates. All right, so we're going to go through our ingredients really quickly. So we have our taco seasoning. So taco seasoning is going to be used as our seasoning on our chicken. You can get any kind of taco seasoning that you like. If you like it spicier, you can go spicier. If you like it a little bit lower in sodium, you can do that as well. You're going to notice that we don't use the whole entire packet when we're making this. So if you flip this over and the sodium content scares you a little bit, I would say, you can definitely gauge how much of this you want to put in there, just depending on your needs. All right, next we're going to go and use some brown jasmine rice. We'll probably be using about a cup of brown jasmine rice. And this is good, again, because it has a bunch of fiber in it. We've already gone through the tortillas. We have an onion, a green bell pepper, and a red bell pepper for some veggies in there. I'm going to cut these so they're like fajita style, but you can dice them as well. We have some Greek yogurt, which is going to act as our sour cream in this. And if you're thinking, ew, I don't know about that, just try it. I promise it's going to be very, very similar to sour cream, just slightly thicker. Then we have black beans, just a normal can of black beans. I would suggest rinsing these before you use them to get any of the sodium content out of there. You can see that there's 370 milligrams of sodium per serving. So that's a good amount. You can also get the lower sodium kind if they have it. And then just for fun, I do have a creamy queso sauce. I bought this particularly to show the calorie content in here. So this is 20 calories per tablespoon. Which if you're putting this on a burrito and just drizzling it on there, you'll maybe use half a serving of that. So really you're only getting 10 additional calories for like a pretty fun sauce. And I think it's worth it. So I am adding this in the recipe today. You'll also need, I have 2 chicken breasts for this recipe, and we're going to dice those. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my rice started because it's going to take probably the longest out of this whole process. So you can do your rice a few different ways. If you're using rice out of a bag like this, I do recommend using brown rice instead of white rice. Now, that is for a few different reasons. Mostly is going to be the fiber content in here is going to be more than your white rice. Your white rice is going to be a little bit more starchy, so it's going to spike your blood sugar a little bit more. If you're not worried about your blood sugar, white rice, brown rice, doesn't matter a whole ton. Just taste preference. Okay, so you can do this a few different ways, like I said. I am using a rice cooker right now. I'm getting ready to put a cup of rice into my rice cooker along with about 2 cups of water. And then I'm just going to let that cook. So usually you're using double whatever you use for your rice in your rice cooker. Or if you have a pot, you can do the exact same thing. I've just found that I cook a lot of rice and it's just a little bit easier to cook the rice in the rice cooker. And 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water. And try not to lift the lid. Keep it on low heat while you're cooking that rice. So that's my tips for that. If you don't want to cook your own rice, they do make pre-made rice that you can definitely buy in the little containers. Some of them are frozen. Some of them are just, shelf stable. And so you can definitely buy those as well if you just really don't want to cook your own rice. So like I said, 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water. This is going to make a lot of rice. So this should definitely fill up a ton of burritos. I did forget to mention that you're going to want to wash your rice until the water runs clear. Usually with brown rice, it's not as much of a problem as it is with white rice, but that's just to get the starches off of it and for it to cook a little bit better and not be so sticky together. So brown rice, again, not that much of a problem. White rice, you're going to have that issue. You may need to rinse white rice 3-4 times. Brown rice, I usually only do about 1 to 2 times. Up next, we're going to chop some veggies. Like I said, I'm going to do all of these kind of fajita style, which to me just means I'm going to cut them in strips, thin strips, and then I'm going to saute them. So I'm going to cut down on my pepper, straight down like this just to get the edge off. like that. So I'm not getting any of the seeds in there. Okay. And from there, I'm just going to cut my strips. Now, if you want to, you can cut this membrane out. Just make sure you're cutting away from your hand. So from here, just going down and cutting my strips. Again, I'm making sure that they're not too big. And these are going to go in with our chicken after our chicken is partially cooked so that our veggies can cook through. I like a little bit of crunch with my vegetables, so I don't like for them to be super soft. From here, I'm going to turn them and just cut them in half so they're good fajita veggie size, and I'm going to do that with the rest of this pepper. And this pepper, now we're going to be dicing, or I guess slicing, our onion. We're going to take the top off first, cut straight down with that. Cut the bottom off, straight down with that. And then I'm just going to cut straight down the middle, like that. And then I'm going to take the outer layer off of my onion. And I'm going to cut down. And then, because I want it in strips, and I like my onion a little bit thicker when I'm using it in a dish like this, that is all I'm going to do. So the size of my onion looks something like that. Okay, so not too thick, not too thin, but it's going to look something like that. So we're just going to cut down into semicircles and then cut that in half from there. So that's what that's going to look like. You're going to have some pieces that are a little bit smaller, and then some pieces that look a little bit like this. So that's exactly what I want it to look like to go in with my peppers. Okay, so now that we got our green bell pepper chopped up, our red bell pepper, and our onion, we're now going to cut into pieces. We're going to dice our chicken. So for this, I'm not going to cut it any particular way. I'm going to make sure that I cut the fattier ends off, like so. And then from there, I'm just going to cut down through the chicken, and then I'll just dice it into smaller pieces so that it's going to be a little bit easier to cook. I actually prefer to cook my chicken this way. I just feel like it's easier to cook this way. It's faster to cook this way. So I really love dicing chicken, especially if you have really big chicken breasts. You know, I feel like cooking the whole thing sometimes can be a little bit difficult. Okay, so I've got my diced chicken breast over here. I've got my veggies over here. And this is the biggest pan that I could find to put everything in. So we're going to put it in a wok today. We're going to use some vegetable oil, some spray vegetable oil to oil down our pan. I want minimal calories here as I can get. So you can also put olive oil, but I'm just using spray vegetable oil today. From here, I'm going to add my chicken in first. So first goes in my diced chicken breast. I'm going to make sure that is coating the pan evenly. And then I am going to grab my tongs because I definitely don't want to be touching the pan. All right, I'm just going to lay all that out on my pan. I do have my pan on medium-high heat, so we're going to leave it there for a second. I have a couple things to note here. One being you need 2 separate tongs when you're cooking with chicken. And the reason for that is right now is raw and I'm getting ready to flip it. So after I flip it this time, I'm then going to put that in my sink so I'm not using it anymore. Then after my chicken is cooked on the outside, I'm going to use these tongs to then cook it the rest of the way. The next thing I'm going to add is you can see that my chicken is getting white. Just around the edges and around the corners of the chicken pieces. And this means that it's almost ready to flip. So when the white part comes up towards the top of the chicken, I know that it's time to flip the chicken and cook the other side. You can get a meat thermometer to see when exactly the chicken is done, if that isn't necessary. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of water to my veggies and my chicken, and then I'm going to add some of my seasoning. So I want my veggies to steam as much as possible, and then I'm just going to add the seasoning on towards the end of my cooking. So for this whole entire thing, it is about we'll probably use about half a packet, which sounds like a lot, but again, this is going to be about 8 servings for our burrito. All right, so this is what our chicken and our veggies look like towards the end. We've got our rice. Okay, so at this point, my chicken and veggies are almost done. My rice is done. I'm going to take my can of black beans. I'm going to rinse these with a strainer, and then I'm going to put them in a container and put them in the microwave to nuke them a little bit. You can put different flavorings in here. You can put chili powder. You can put garlic powder. You can put onion powder, salt a little bit if you want, pepper, anything to season these to put in your burrito. All right, so now you have our components to build our burrito, or if you prefer, you can just make this a burrito bowl. So you can put your rice, your beans, your fajita, veg, and chicken with some Greek yogurt and queso sauce on top, and make that a perfect meal as well. You're going to have a lot of fiber from your beans, your brown rice, and your veggies, so you don't even necessarily need to make these into a burrito. You can just eat this throughout the week. But I'm actually going to build a burrito for y'all and show you what that final product looks like, and also how you can freeze them as well. So again, my beans I have seasoned with a little bit of chili powder, some garlic powder, onion powder, and some pepper. And then this is the final product for our fajita mix that we have here, along with the others. Okay, so at this point we've got our burrito wrapped up. May not be the most beautiful thing in the world, but you can wrap all your burritos. Again, this will make about 8 to 10 burritos, just depending on how big your tortillas are. I'm thinking in this particular pack, let's see, there were 8 tortillas, so that's perfect. And these are on the smaller side, so if you want a bigger tortilla, you can definitely do that. It will be a little bit more carbs, but so if you're mindful of that, then that's just something to watch out for. But you can do a bunch of different things. Like I said before, with this recipe, you can do burrito bowls, you can do nachos. You don't have to freeze these. You can just, meal prep it throughout the week and eat it as is. But thank you all for tuning in today. I hope you learned a new lunch recipe idea. And again, thanks for tuning in and have a great day.